You can't just take whatever you want, Chloe.
Watch me, Eleanor.
The sound of my daughter-in-law's suitcase wheels scraping across my marble floor was the moment I realized my own family had completely misunderstood me. "Mom, don't make this difficult," Claire said, walking past me as if she owned the place. "We found out about your lavish Alpine villa and decided to move in for a fresh start." She smiled politely, but there was nothing warm behind it. Behind her, my son Daniel carried boxes into the living room. He avoided eye contact. That hurt more than anything. Not the luggage, not the disrespect, not even the fact that they had entered my home without permission. It was the silence of my own son. Claire walked toward the enormous glass windows overlooking the snow-covered mountains. The entire valley stretched beneath us like a painting. She stopped. For the first time since arriving, her confidence disappeared. "Wow," she whispered. Daniel stepped beside her. Neither of them spoke. They were captivated by the view, but they were also horrified, because they finally understood something. This wasn't just some vacation house owned by an elderly woman who had gotten lucky. This place represented decades of sacrifice, patience, and secrets they never bothered to ask about. And that was when I knew. They had made the biggest mistake of their lives. But they didn't know that yet. 3 months earlier, everything had been different. My name is Margaret Wilson, and for most of my life, people underestimated me. I was the quiet woman, the woman who listened more than she spoke, the woman who wore simple clothes, drove an old car, and never felt the need to announce her achievements. After my husband passed away, I focused on rebuilding my life. I worked for 30 years as a financial consultant, helping companies survive economic disasters. I studied markets. I analyzed risks. I built strategies. But because I didn't show off, people assumed I had nothing. Even my own family believed that. Daniel always loved me, but after he married Claire, things slowly changed. Claire was the kind of person who measured success by appearances. Designer clothes, luxury restaurants, expensive vacations. She often made comments about my lifestyle. "Margaret, you really should treat yourself," she would say. I would smile. She didn't know I could buy everything she owned 10 times over, but I never cared about proving anything. That was my first mistake. I thought humility would earn respect. Instead, some people mistake kindness for weakness. Claire became increasingly comfortable disrespecting me. During family dinners, she would casually mention how old-fashioned I was. Once, she laughed when she saw my old watch. "You still wear that?" I looked down at it. That watch was a gift from my husband. Her smile faded for a second. Then she shrugged. "Well, memories are nice, but they don't increase your lifestyle." Daniel said nothing. I remember that moment clearly, because silence can hurt more than insults. The villa in the Alps had been my secret. Years earlier, I had quietly invested in a small mountain property when nobody believed the area would become valuable. Everyone told me it was a foolish decision. My friends laughed. My colleagues warned me. But I trusted my instincts. Over time, that small investment became something extraordinary. The villa was worth millions, but to me, it wasn't about money. It was my sanctuary, a place where I could breathe, a place where I could remember my husband, a place where nobody judged me, and nobody in my family knew the truth. I wanted to keep it that way, until Claire found out. The first clue that something was wrong came when Daniel called me unexpectedly. "Mom, we need to talk." His voice sounded rehearsed. I sat down. "What happened?" Claire was beside him. "We're going through a difficult period," Daniel said. I already knew what was coming. "Financial problems?" Claire immediately interrupted. "Not exactly. We just need a better environment." A better environment. That was the phrase she used. Not help, not support. A better environment. Then she said it. "We heard about your Alpine property." I stayed silent. "How did you hear about that?" Claire smiled. "Daniel mentioned it once." I looked at my son. He looked away. "We thought it would make sense for us to stay there temporarily," Claire continued. "Just until we get back on our feet." I asked one simple question. "Did you ask me?" The room went quiet. Claire's expression changed. "You're making this emotional." That sentence told me everything. People who know they are wrong often accuse others of being emotional. "I'm not asking for much," she continued. "You have a huge house sitting empty. My house. My investment. My memories." Somehow, she had already decided it belonged to her. I calmly refused. And that was when Claire revealed who she truly was. "You know, Margaret, sometimes older people have trouble adjusting. You need to learn when it's time to let younger people take over." Younger people. Take over. I almost laughed, but I didn't. I simply said, no. That single word changed everything. A week later, they arrived anyway. They didn't ask. They didn't apologize. They simply came. Claire walked through my front door with luggage. Daniel followed. I stood there watching my own son choose his wife's arrogance over his mother's dignity. But I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I didn't call the police. Because they still had no idea what they had walked into. That was their first mistake. For the next few days, Claire acted like the villa belonged to her. She rearranged furniture. She invited friends. She posted pictures online. Starting a new chapter, she wrote. Thousands of people commented. They praised her. They admired her new life. Nobody knew the truth. One evening, she invited several friends over for dinner. She introduced me as the woman who helped us get this place. I smiled. Interesting choice of words. Helped. Not owned. Not built. Not created. Helped. I noticed something else. A folder on the table. A legal document. Claire had prepared paperwork. She wasn't just staying. She was planning to claim residency. She thought I was too old, too quiet, and too harmless to fight back. She had no idea what was coming. The final mistake happened during that dinner. Claire stood in front of everyone and raised her glass. To new beginnings, she said. Everyone smiled. Then she looked at me. You know, Margaret, sometimes life requires people to step aside. The room became quiet. She continued. You've had your time. Now it's ours. That was when I placed my glass down. Calmly, slowly, and said, You're right. Claire smiled. She thought she had won, until I continued. It is time for things to change. The front door opened. 3 people walked inside. A lawyer, a financial auditor, and a representative from the property management company. Claire's smile disappeared. Daniel stood up. Mom, what's going on? I looked around the room. Nobody here knows the truth about this villa. I opened the folder in my hand. This property isn't just mine. Silence. It belongs to the Wilson Foundation, which I created 5 years ago. Claire frowned. What? My lawyer stepped forward. Mrs. Wilson is the founder and majority trustee of a multi-million-dollar investment group. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. I looked at Claire. You didn't move into an old woman's vacation home. I paused. You moved into the private residence of the person who funded several companies you admire. The color drained from her face. My son looked shocked. Mom, why didn't you tell us? I answered honestly. Because I wanted to know if you loved me without knowing what I had. The silence afterward was painful, but necessary. The consequences came quickly. The paperwork Claire prepared was exposed as an attempt to establish unauthorized claims over the property. Her online posts disappeared. Her friends stopped praising her. The same people who admired her success suddenly wanted nothing to do with her. Daniel finally understood what had happened. He apologized. But apologies don't erase choices. Trust takes years to build, and seconds to destroy. Claire left the villa that same week, not because I forced her, because she finally realized she had no control. Months later, I returned to my peaceful life. The villa remained exactly as I loved it. Quiet, beautiful, mine. People asked me if I enjoyed proving everyone wrong. The truth? I didn't. Revenge was never about making them feel small. It was about finally refusing to let people treat my kindness as weakness. I still love my son, but now he understands something important. Respect should never depend on someone's bank account. It should exist because someone deserves it. And Claire? She learned the hardest lesson of all. Never underestimate the person who stays silent. Because sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one holding all the power.